annual quota. From the luggers of yesteryear to the modern high-tech pearling vessels of today, the Parmelia K is one of the Broom Pearls fleet which leads the way in innovative pearling technology. Dawn, and the divers prepare for the first drift of the day. The yellow hose will carry air to the divers, while these downweights pull the divers along with the boat. Divers are fully covered to maintain their body temperature and to protect them from marine stingers associated with tropical waters. In the case of emergency, the divers carry a separate air supply called a bailout bottle. 3 divers work from suspended downweights on either side of the boat. Once in the water, the divers descend towards the seabed along their downweight ropes, equalising as they go deeper. The divers are working in 20 metres of water here in good visibility. The boats drift with the tide, and with the help of the work line attached to the downweight, the divers are towed so they do not have the exhausting task of swimming all day, as the tides in the Broome area are among the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. This type of ocean floor is known as open or light garden bottom. The shell is sparse, as the numerous small fish eat the young spat before they can mature. A shell is spotted and pulled off the bottom, breaking the biscus which attaches the shell to the seabed and is placed in the neck bag worn by the diver. The first dive is over and it's time to surface. The big bag is clipped onto the work line, and at 9 metres, air is substituted for oxygen as the divers slowly rise to the surface. The switch to oxygen allows divers to work underwater longer and safely without fear of the bends. The big bags are hauled aboard to have the shell graded and counted. Old shell and undersized shell are discarded. The number of shell retained goes against the diver's name for payment on a contract basis. Once the shell are cleaned, they are put into panels. The divers prepare for another drift as the boat returns for its next sweep. In this depth, the divers will do approximately 9 drifts per day of 40 minutes duration each. The panelled shell are kept on board in seawater tanks. They are then loaded into the dump boat and taken out to be placed on long lines back onto the seabed. freshly caught shell will now wait about 4 months on the seabed till July, when they will undergo their first operation. July, and the shell are lifted from the seabed to undergo their first operation. The shell are loaded into opening baskets. These baskets allow the shell to relax, free from outside interference, which would make the shell close. Once the shell are stacked in the baskets, they are placed under the barge, awaiting transportation to the operations boat. In a relaxed state, the shell are forced open further with forceps and pegged. The abductor muscle in the shell then retracts, clamping onto the peg, though still remaining open. The operations room is below sea level to allow the technicians a steadier hand for the delicate operation on the shell. The technicians are a mix of Australian and Japanese. Australian operators are part of the group's ongoing commitment to training in the industry. A saibu, or sacrificial shell, is killed to take the mantle tissue. This tissue is cleaned and cut into small pieces for insertion into the gonad, along with the nuclei. With the shell open, the technicians have access to the gonad area of the animal. Firstly, a tiny slit is cut into the gonad. Next, the mantle tissue is inserted. Then the nucleus is slid into the incision already holding the mantle tissue. Operators need good light, as in any medical theatre, to perform the difficult and acute operation on the animal. Broome Pearls has an annual quota of shell which are caught and operated each year. After the operation, the shell is returned to the panel for long lining back onto the bottom of Lagrange Bay. Some 250 kilometres north of Broome, amid the spectacular Buccaneer Archipelago, is Kalis Cove, Broome Pearls' surface farm. The Parmelia has arrived. She has just transported 12,000 shell 250 kilometres from Lagrange Bay. It's all hands to get the shell offloaded and out to the long lines. Each long line has 100 panels with 6 shell in each panel. By this method, the shell is suspended some 2 metres from the surface, which makes them much easier to clean and access. "6 a.m. and the cleaning boats have started already. Fouling occurs on the shell and panels in a very short time. The cleaning boat winches itself along the long line as panels are fed through the cleaning machine and hard corals are knocked off manually. Cleaning is carried out through the whole year. Broome Pearl's seaplane replenishes supplies and ferries workers on a roster change from Broome. The picturesque background of the rugged and beautiful Buccaneer archipelago that surrounds and nurtures the pearl shell is home to those who work on the pearl farm. Several months after operations, the shell are X-rayed to see if they have retained the nuclei. Those that have retained the nuclei are put back on the farm to grow a pearl over the next 18 months, until the pearls are harvested. Those that have rejected the nuclei are returned to the bottom to recuperate before another operation is attempted the following season. The shell has now held a seed or nuclei for 2 years. During this time, nacre has grown around the implanted nucleus to produce a pearl and is ready for harvest. As the beautiful pearls are extracted, a fresh nucleus of similar size is placed into the pearl sac, which will now grow a larger pearl. A pearl shell can produce 2 or more pearls in its lifetime. Bumper crop. Just 1 day's bounty of the finest South Sea pearls produced anywhere in the world. The pearls are washed and counted on board before going ashore for further processing. Having produced the round pearls, the shell's last job is to make the half pearl. Following a similar procedure to that of seeding, the half pearl shape is glued to both inner surfaces of the shell just under the mantle tissue. After a year, these shell are harvested. It is during the half pearl harvest that the keshi or natural pearls are found. Pearl meat is retained and sold for export and to restaurants as a delicacy. The beautiful mabe or half pearls have been created.